Hey guys, super casual today, like I always am. Have I ever dressed up for a video? I think twice I put makeup on for a video. I just noticed this massive smudge on my sleeve though, so probably from like laying on the floor stretching or something. This video is to review a couple of ballet books. One of them I donated to a studio. I just left it on a table there because it was aimed at younger dancers, so I just left it there. So I'm going to talk about that one, but I'll just insert a little picture of it right here. And in Mcbride's rarities start with this, and I'll get to these in a second and talk about Tiana's book. It was just kind of a play-by-play of her life, of some challenges she's had, and then at the end of each chapter she talked about the lessons she learned from the challenge. And it's quite a thin little book. When I clicked on it, I thought it was maybe going to be some big old thick thing, like more like a biography or a memoir, but it's really small. She designed it, I think, to be a handbook for young dancers. So she talks about being at her first ballet studio and some challenges that came up there and how her dad encouraged her. And I think it even has like workbook space in it, where younger dancers can write down, what's a challenge I have and how can I overcome this and how can I stay positive. She does share some really interesting experiences. So New York City Ballet, I don't know if they're still this way, but everything was just so tight. And in one experience, she magically had her day off. She spent all morning on a train or a tram getting up to go see her boyfriend up, I don't remember where, but you know, like an hour train ride away from New York City. She's just settled in to spend the afternoon or the day with her boyfriend, and she gets a phone call that says, hey, so-and-so's out, you're on tonight. And it just, like, that was crazy to me. So she didn't have time to get back on the train. She had to borrow her boyfriend's roommate's car to get back to New York City to make it in time for call. And then another experience was an audition where she auditioned to be in a film, and she was offered a part to play a ballerina in a film, but they needed to do some of the filming in Russia. So she was going to need, it was something ridiculous, like 4 weeks. She was going to need 4 weeks off sometime in the middle of the New York City Ballet season. And she approached management. She said, hey, this is a great opportunity. I could be in film. I can expand myself artistically. And someone said to her, look, you've already got it all. If you have to leave for this 4 weeks, you're out for the rest of the season. You can't do this, or you're out for the rest of the season. You have to make the choice. And isn't New York City Ballet all you've ever wanted? So she turned down being in a film about a ballerina, for which she would have been so perfect so that she could continue to be in with that season. And she said, the lesson I learned from this is your management is not always going to care about you. If she had been out, they would have had to cover all her spots. I guess they had the scheduling all ready to go, and it would have been inconvenient for them. And they put that above it being a great opportunity for her. And I've actually experienced that in my life. I was in a teaching situation once where I wasn't getting the performing opportunities I needed. My training was going down because I was just increasingly doing more and more with teaching and administrative work. And I finally had to say, hey, look, I auditioned for this show and I'm gonna do it. And I'll cover myself. I'll get substitutes and I'll make sure the choreography is down. And the director decided that was going to be too much of a hassle for her, and so I ceased teaching there. And in the end, it ended up being way better for me in my life overall. I got other teaching gigs where I was able to expand the age range that I teach. I was able to increase my training, but I had just been stuck in this little spot. And not that it's bad she was stuck at New York City Ballet. She really did have an incredible situation there, but just the lesson she got out of that was, hey, your management isn't always going to be looking out for your growth. And maybe for them it was way too far out that she go do this film. I mean, I know other New York City Ballet dancers have left for a year to go do Broadway. Jacques d'Amboise talks about doing Broadway. I was just listening to some of the cool interviews Megan Fairchild is putting out right now, and she talks about her time on Broadway and the way the company, I guess, was willing to work with them in that. Anyway, so just lots of stories like that from Joanna Mcbride. So I recommend that book, but just know you're not going to be getting I just love big fat books, big fat memoirs, like Once a Dancer by Allegra Kent, and of course Darcy Kessler's books, Gail C. Kirkland's books. I read Suzanne Farrell's biography several times. I read the Taper book on Balanchine, I think twice. I love those. So just know with Deanna's book, you're just going to get kind of this little skinny book, but it's got lots of good stuff in there and lots of good things for young dancers to think about. Okay, the next one, this is Raising the Bar, Lauren Kessler. Big Dreams, False Starts, and My Midlife Quest to Dance the Nutcracker. So I won't give too much away in this one. It's got some really good stuff, but basically Lauren is an immersion reporter, writer. She picks an industry or a subject and she goes and lives that thing. So for example, the book before this one, she got really immersed in the anti-aging culture, and she studied facelifts, nutrition, workouts, all kinds of stuff that people do to fight aging. She really buried herself in it. And she was a very physically fit person. She talks about running and biking and lifting weights. And she studied dance from age 7 to about age 12 when a director, I won't give too much away, but the director told her mom, she's never going to make it as a ballerina. She's not shaped right. Okay. So she overheard this and decided to just quit on her own, which was really sad because she's a very driven person. But in this book, she talks about deciding to get back into ballet. So she approaches the director of a company and she sells it to her on, I'd like to do an inside story on what it's like to be a member of your company. So she gets herself able to do company class. Well, I would not give to be able to just be in company class with a big company. And then this director is so kind, she creates a role for her in the Nutcracker. She creates in Party Scene the Aunt Rose. And, if you've danced a Nutcracker, Party Scene is pretty, it's really accessible. A lot of smaller dance studios will use volunteer parents as their Party Scene people. So it's not like, she was going to have to get back on point. It's a little deceiving here. But she does it, and it's really cool. But just her journey and her kind of inside thoughts. Now, there are large sections of the book that don't have a lot to do with ballet or with her training. She talks about her bar class. There's an entire chapter or two on the kind of midlife crisis thing, which I didn't realize that that's what this was. It's a midlife crisis book, kind of. Not the kind where you go out and buy a new Ferrari, but the kind where you start to feel so just settled. She talks about that. She doesn't want the rest of her life to just flit by all settled and not be able to remember it when she's in her 80s. So she jumps in and decides to take her very strong gym body and lengthen the muscles and try and turn it into a dancer's body over the course of a year. So this project does take her a full year. So highly recommended, Raising the Bar, Lauren Kessler. It was really fun. And for me, it's quick, easy read, 250 pages-ish. So yeah, just really entertaining. Okay, this one, I'm a little mad at myself for how long it took me to get to it. Joanna Marsh, Cantique. And I won't give away too much in this one either, but you can find Joanna Marsh on Instagram as Ballet Librarian, and she is so cool. She's a librarian, obviously during the day, and then in the evening, she is a very passionate adult ballet student. And I don't remember all her details, if she danced when she was younger or if she only took it up when she was older. But this book is about a young dancer, I guess an adult amateur dancer. At the opening of the book, she's been taking ballet for 2 or 3 years. She's slim, she's athletic, so it's easy for her to get into ballet. I know with my body type, if I had not started until I was 20, there's no way I could have done ballet. I have the kind of body that needed all the help it could get growing up, and I'm still really working on it. But she hears a piece of music during one of her ballet classes, and she talks to the pianist about it, and the pianist says, oh, it's some old piece, and I don't know where it came from, or she has some history to it. And digging deeper, finding the history of this piece of music, she discovers it's like a lost piece to a lost ballet. And she also gets in a relationship with one of the company members, one of the male ballet company members, and they just hit it off, and it's great. And those two things kind of come together, and they end up, I won't give the ending away, but I was trying to see how much is here on the back. I'll just go ahead and read this to you. After discovering sheet music from a long-lost production of Song of Solomon, novice dancer Colette Larson is thrust into the elite world of professional ballet. Sparks fly when she meets James Brennan, the fun-loving soloist, tasked with choreographing a new pas de deux to the music. But Colette is forced to watch from the sidelines as he rehearses with the company's prima ballerina. As Colette's relationship with James deepens, so does her need to find the purpose beneath her latent passion for dance, a purpose that manifests in new friendships, rediscovered talents, and in the pages of Song of Solomon. Humorous and heartfelt, this debut novel reveals a lighter side to ballet that resonates with dancers and non-dancers alike. Cantique's heroine is witty, whimsical, and highly relatable as she navigates love and the dance world in the midst of a quarter-life crisis. Another life crisis thing. So, yeah, let that kind of tell you what it's about. But I really enjoyed it. This line, I'll find it. This debut novel reveals a lighter side of ballet. So there's a line in here where a couple dancers are talking, or the main character, Colette, is talking, and she says, "Oh, I just can't stand movies like Black Swan, where ballet is depicted as this terrible, tragic, horrible, and everyone is so uptight. Ballet is so much more. It's so much more joyful, even with all the hard things in it." So I like that she kind of made a point about that in this book. Okay, that is my review. 1, 2, and 3. And yeah, just some good ballet books out there. I have a bunch more on my Amazon wish list. I'll eventually read those and do a little review of them. So thanks, guys. I'll talk to you later.